Good evening and welcome to the Smyrna Town Council meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order tonight. Our prayer is going to be led by Rex Gaither. Rex, is that because of budget that you're leading the prayer? And our pledge will be done by Kevin Rigsby, our planning manager. If you'll all stand with us, please.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for the blessings that we receive as a town. Lord, teach us to love and respect each other as neighbors. Help us to be good stewards with the resources that you've given us. Lord, just pray for wisdom and judgment for the council as they conduct the town business. Lord, all these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rex and Kevin. Miss Diane, if you do roll call.
Councilman Cole.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Morrell.
Here.
Councilwoman Nord.
Here.
Councilwoman Peebles.
Here.
Councilman Sullivan.
Here.
Vice Mayor Atkins.
Here.
Mayor Reed.
Here. Okay, we will move on to item 3, which is approval or corrections of the minutes of the April 9th, April 10th, and April 26th, 2018 meetings. Do I have any additions or corrections? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I move we approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes pass. Mr. Gill, any correspondence or communications?
You know, the only thing is, Tom Rose and I met and then had a follow-up meeting with the mayor this week on Sam Ridley. I want folks to know that that's still in the hopper, and we're paddling as hard as we can to see that through. It's a project, and it's not going away. We're going to make sure it gets done. That's our commitment. Also, thanks to Jeff Craig and Mike Strange for all they've done with United Way. It's been a banner year with respect to what we've generated. Thank you, guys. And Friday will be the icing on the cake with the golf scramble. Also, it's good to have Kevin Arnold back. He had surgery. Bill, thanks to Kid Safety Day. Thank all of you guys for what you do. And party shot is my stepson. My wife's son, Leanne, is being recognized as Police Officer of the Year tonight in Kenner, Louisiana.
Wow.
City of 70,000 residents, so real proud of Taylor. And I give her other son, Corey, a shout out. He rescued a dog recently and made Channel 5 News. You may have seen him.
There you go.
So good month for those guys. Thanks.
Great. Any awards or recognitions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda are items that are determined by the town manager to be routine matters that do not necessarily need discussion. I always like to read these items, and if there is an item that a council member would like to pull off and discuss individually and vote on individually, we can do that. On the consent agenda tonight, item A is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal contract with Galls Incorporated relative to the police department uniforms. Item B is approval and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal contract with Motorola relative to the radio system maintenance for the town of Smyrna. Item C is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a performance agreement with Missy Garnett Music relative to the music and sound for the 2018 Independence Day celebration. Item D is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Tennessee Department of Tourism Development relative to the grant for improvements to the Smyrna Train Depot. Item E is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with LexisNexis relative to credit card merchant services. Item F is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Gresham Smith and Partners relative to the Rock Springs Road corridor study from town limits to Old Nashville Highway. Item G is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal contracts for the following relative to chemicals for the water and wastewater treatments. The wastewater treatment plant, Nexar is carbon dioxide, ADC is calcium thiosulfate and sodium permanganate, DICO is hydrogen peroxide and sodium hydroxide, Calgon Carbon Corporation is powder activated carbon, Univar is sodium carbonate, Chemtrade is polyaluminum hydroxychloride. The wastewater treatment plant is Nichem for liquid aluminum sulfate. SNF Polydine is emulsion polymer. Item H, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a renewal contract with IM&E relative to mechanical maintenance for the water and wastewater treatment plants. Item I is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute contracts with the following relative to chemicals for the water treatment plant. Carmuse is calcium oxide, ADC is potassium permanganate, Dico is sodium hypochlorite, Penco is hydrofluoric acid, Univar is sodium ortho polyphosphate and sodium chloride, and SNF Polydine is catatonic polymer. Thank you. Is there any item a council member would like to pull off and vote on individually? Seeing none, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Moving on to old business, tonight we have 6 public hearings, and the first one is consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 76, parcel 12.02. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a plan of services that has been recommended by the Planning Commission for the annexation. That is the next item on your agenda for map 76, parcel 12.02. The property is about 7.6 acres on Almaville Road. This puts in writing that all the services the town will provide upon the effective date of annexation, which would be all services except for water in this area. CUD is the water provider. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of the plan of services unanimously.
Questions for Kevin? We've already been through first reading and 2 workshops on this, so anything, Mark or Tim, that you'd like to add? Okay. Seeing no questions from council, do I have anyone here from the public that would like to speak for or against this item? Okay. Seeing no one, we'll close this public hearing and go to the council for a motion.
I move we approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is also a public hearing. It's a consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation of property located on tax map 76, parcel 12.02, containing approximately 7.6 acres. It's requested by Sean Collins. The zoning would be R3. The property is also referenced by 6690 Amberville Road, and it is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, nothing has changed on this since you looked at it at first reading. This would annex this parcel of land into the town with an R3 zoning. Again, as I said earlier, this is the town would be providing all services except for water here. The land use plan would support a mix of office, retail, multifamily in this area. This is adjacent to a parcel of land that was recently annexed and zoned R3, and so it would be consistent with the surrounding zoning. The Planning Commission did recommend approval unanimously.
Questions or comments for Kevin on this? Okay. Seeing no one, then we will open the public hearing up and see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to the council for a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item C is somewhat of a housekeeping item that we need to do. It's consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 18-12 relative to the annexation and R3 zoning of property located on tax map 76, parcel 12.02. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is also a public hearing. It's a consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 54, parcels 55.00 and 56.01, and tax map 55, parcels 31.00. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, again, this is the plan of services for the requested annexation and zoning. This is the next item on your agenda. It's about 30.3 acres in 3 different parcels. The Planning Commission did review this. Again, we will be providing all services here except for water. The Planning Commission did review it and did recommend approval, 6-4-0 against with 1 abstention.
Questions for Kevin about this? Seeing none. Thanks, Kevin. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, we'll close this public hearing and go to the council for a motion.
I move we approve.
Move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on this item?
Please show me as not voting or taking place in conversation on this or the next item as well. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with Mr. Adkins abstaining. Next item is item E, which is a public hearing. It's a consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation of property located on tax map 54, parcels 55.00 and 56.01, and tax map 55, parcel 31.00, containing a total of approximately 30.3 acres. It's requested by Sean Collins. The zoning would be R3. The property is also referenced by 7798, 7808, and 7840 Rocky Fork Abbeville Road, and it is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, again, nothing has changed since you looked at this on first reading. These parcels do all have frontage and access to Rocky Fork Abbeville Road. It is adjacent to parcel previously annexed in Zone PRD, which is the Amberton PRD, so it is contiguous to the town limits. Land use plan would support medium density residential development in this area. All the zoning is RM, and the county is in the adjacent PRD in town. Again, the town would be providing all services here except for water, as I stated earlier. And there is an existing residence on each of these parcels, so we would be annexing 3 existing homes and before we ever have any future development of the property. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this, again 6-4-0 against with 1 abstention.
Questions for Kevin on this one? Okay, seeing no questions, we will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing, go to the council for a motion.
I move we approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
I abstain again.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with Mr. Adkins abstaining. We'll move on to item F, which is the consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 18-13 relative to the annexation and R3 zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcels 55.00 and 56.01, and tax map 55, parcel 31.00. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion about this?
I abstain.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with Mr. Adkins abstaining. Move to item G, which is a consideration of an ordinance relative to adding language to the Town of Smyrna Municipal Code, Title 13, Property Maintenance Regulations, specifically adding a Chapter 5 pertaining to vehicles displayed for sale, rental, or distribution. It is a second reading. Mr. Peach?
Yes, Mayor and Council, obviously we've spoken about this extensively, dealing with car lots and those types of vehicles that have similar type items for sale. As you know, we removed the first proposal that had the stripes on the car lots. This just makes it where it is no less than 3 feet unobstructed pathway between vehicles, and each vehicle have a 16-foot wide path, ingress and ingress, and also no more than 10 feet from a public-private roadway or thoroughfare. Obviously, there's several others, but we've gone over those quite a bit. I can concentrate on any other certain one if you'd like, but it's not changed from the last reading.
Questions for Jeff on this? What are our plans in regards to notifying the car lots that are currently out there to let them know what they're going to need to do to get into compliance by July 1?
Yeah, just as soon as you guys, presuming that you pass this, we'll generate a letter and we'll hand deliver it to the various lots to make sure they're in the loop. We'll give them a grace period to come into compliance. Matter of fact, we'll meet on that tomorrow to get the ball rolling on that.
Great. And just so the public is aware, we did meet with, how many representatives there
There
were?
were 5 representatives from 3 different car lots that showed. We extended the invitation to all of them, but those were the ones that showed.
I think it's important for the public to know that we did call those individuals in to get their take on it, and they, I think, helped a lot in regards to what you see before us. So, okay, anybody have questions? Okay, then this is a public hearing, so is there anyone here to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to the council for a motion.
Motion we approve.
Motion, do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? I think this will go a long way in helping with the things that we're wanting to see improved on not only Lowry Street, but all over the town. So I'm glad to see we were able to put this forward. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our last public hearing tonight is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the Chapter 7 temporary sign provisions, Section A, general requirement of the Town of Smyrna sign ordinance regarding banners. This is a second reading. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor and Council, and just as the first one, we've discussed this over the years, actually, of permitting process for banners at all the commercial and residential sites. In effect, this further defines what a banner is, as well as provides that for 30-day increments, there shall be a permit issued to have banners with no more than 90 days total in a year's time. Steve Smith, which he may want to come up, has requested, if you'll notice at the very end, Part 5, at the very end, it just states that parcels for no more than 90 days per calendar year. Steve has requested that this remove the word calendar and insert 365 consecutive days in parentheses after per year.
So that way they couldn't do it in December and then turn around and start again in January.
Correct. That's what his
Okay.
thinking is.
Is that going to be easy enough for y'all to keep up with, to track?
Yeah, that'll be fine. The main reason is we felt like that if someone came in on December the 15th, if we did it on a calendar year, they're only going to get a permit really for 15 days. Now, they could come back in January, but they're going to pay $30 for really not. Anyway, we can do this. If they want to come in on any day, we can start the clock ticking, and that clock can run out 90 days if they want to continue to renew it, or 30 days as the case may be. But yeah, keeping track of it won't be a problem for us.
Okay. Questions for Steve? Go
What's a
ahead.
festoon?
Sir?
A festoon, Section A, number 4.
Is that fluffy thing?
Let me tell you right off the bat that I did not write this. So the definition,
That's a Mr. Peach question.
we'll go this
Not
direction.
What's a
even me.
festoon, Mr. Peach?
If you would like, I will look up Webster's.
I'll do it later, thank you.
Do you want to know what it is before we vote? We've got to have
No,
public,
that's
will
not
you
in the
Google while we're
changes.
public hearing?
That's not in the
can.
changes, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
okay.
We passed that one a long time ago.
This came from codes originally, but I don't know, probably might have been before Steve, but they've been working on this for several years.
Okay.
I could not honestly tell you what that word is.
With all the big words that you use, you don't know that one?
It was not in my Reader's Digest this month.
I'm going to guess festival balloon.
Okay, well, tell you what, while we're moving on to the public hearing, we will let Mr. Peach Google that. So any other questions for Steve or Jeff before we move to the public hearing? Okay, so if there's someone that would like to speak for or against this item, if they'll come forward. And if you will state your name and address for the record, please.
Daniel Eppright, 114 Seward Street, Smyrna, Tennessee. Ma'am, point of clarification, is it clearly distinguished the difference between a banner and a sign? What I'm thinking is you might have a brand-new business in town, and instead of paying for a boxed, lettered, produced sign, that they would just run their business for as long as they could get away with it with just a banner instead of a sign? Is it addressed in this?
This is one of the reasons that we're doing that, because we do have businesses that try to use a banner for their sign permanently. And so that is one of the things that we're hoping to address with.
Well, and the material basically is what defines it from a temporary sign to a banner. Banners, cloth, paper, fabric, and that's stated within the ordinance it's the material that makes it the banner.
Thank you for your consideration.
Anyone else to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, we'll close this public hearing. And Mr. Peach, do you have an answer for us?
Yes, it is to adorn with ribbons, garlands, and other decorations. So it's hung in a curve of decorations. So I guess that some of these that we may call the type of flyers or however you want to call it, that's another fancy word for
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Is that to your liking? You good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Do we have a motion?
Also move.
Second.
You guys are a little slow tonight. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to item 8, which is our new business. Under the Planning Commission report, we have 2 items tonight. The first one is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of properties located on tax map 34P, Group A, parcels 2.00 and 3.00, containing approximately 3.14 acres. It's requested by Mr. Mohammed to go from C2 to C5. The properties are located on Old Nashville Highway, and it is a first reading. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a rezoning request for two separate tracts that are adjacent to one another on Old Nashville Highway. Across from where Windlewood Circle intersects with Old Nashville Highway. And it's also in front of the Stewart Creek Manor Senior Housing Complex. The land use plan would support commercial development in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R2, R3, R6, and C2. There is an existing house and barn on parcel 2.0. I'm sorry, 3.0 actually. The Planning Commission did review this. They did recommend denial unanimously.
Questions for Kevin on this? Tim or Mark, you want to talk a little bit about it?
Well, we talked about this Thursday. I think Tim was on vacation, and the fit for this, along with some of the requests from the people that live around it, just didn't feel like this was a good fit from the planning standpoint. So we heard the people and decided against it.
I will say I had quite a few calls from some of the senior residents in that area with quite a bit of concern. So, and I know that we passed those along to the Planning Commission just so they were aware that we'd gotten quite a few emails and calls.
Talked to several of them, actually, and with valid concern, we listened to that and decided it wasn't a good fit right there.
I mean, typically, if we looked at anything here, we would be, and I realize it's a C2, but you'd be looking more for a C4 type fit that would be neighborhood friendly, especially to the development there, so.
Okay. Other questions for Tim or Mark or Kevin? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I'll move we deny.
A motion to deny?
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is denied. We'll move on to item 2, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of properties located on tax map 27O, Group C, parcels 1.00, 2.00, and 4.00, containing approximately 1.6 acres. It's requested by Howard Spain to go from P&O 1 to C4. The properties are located at 409, 413, and 415 Enon Springs Road East. This is a first reading. Kevin?
Mr. Mayor and Council, these are 3 separate tracts of land, each approximately a third of an acre, along Enon Springs Road, across from Cobblestone Lane, the Cobblestone subdivision. Land use plan would support an office, retail, multifamily mix in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R2, R6, P&O 1, C2, and C4. There is an existing house on each of these parcels. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, 4 and 0 against. The parcel in the middle there was rezoned, look back, I think it was about a year and a half or so ago. So this would be a continuation of that rezoning.
Okay. Questions for Kevin on this?
Kevin, are we aware of any particular plan for this, or?
I don't
do they just
believe
feel
so.
like
I'm
it's
not
more
aware of anything.
saleable at C4 rather than P&O?
I'm not aware of any particular plan now. C4 does allow for a wider variety of uses than the P&O does. Allows some of the same uses, but also would allow some smaller retail and that sort of thing.
Could you quickly run through a few of the uses in C4?
Certainly, it would allow for, a hair salon, a daycare, a small retail business. It would allow for a restaurant that had not a fast food restaurant like a drive-through window or anything like that. It would not allow a gas station or anything like that, but it would allow for more of the mom and pop type retail, smaller retail businesses, as well as offices and things just like the P&O 1 does.
HG, just, I know where you're probably thinking along the lines here with traffic on that road and so forth. So we did have that discussion Thursday evening too about, the question came up about ingress and egress with those driveways coming out on the Enon Springs Road. And we talked about how that would be addressed at the site plan. If anybody ever brought any business in there, we would address it then. This was strictly for zoning purposes and seemed to be consistent with what's taking place over there.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Then do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We're done with the Planning Commission report and Packaged Liquor Board report. Tonight, there were no applications for the Town Council to consider at this time. Item C is appointment of one member to the Stormwater Advisory Committee to serve a 2-year term ending in 2020. We had 2 applicants. One was Kendra Estes and one was Brianne Bagley. And I will tell you that I asked Mr. Peach to look into Brianne just because she is with TDEC, just to make sure everything was okay if she served. And he said no, there's no conflict with that. So at this time, I will, I didn't even look to see, is this appointment by council?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll open the floors for a nomination.
I nominate Brianne Bagley.
Well, I guess, are there any other nominations? Seeing.
There were several.
Seeing no other nominations, we only had one person that was nominated. So all in favor of Brianne Bagley being the new Stormwater Committee person, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Brianne, you're on the Stormwater Committee. Item D is consideration of an ordinance adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019, first reading. Rex?
Mayor and council, the ordinance and detailed budget for fiscal year 2018 and 19 have been submitted for your consideration. I have attached the retreat to first read changes spreadsheet for your convenience. It shows all the changes. It details the budget changes from what was presented at the retreat, and the budget has been posted to the town's website.
Excuse me. Questions for Rex about this?
I did have one question, because I remember that on the parks, there were $4.2 million in debt proceeds for this upcoming year in the budget, but then there was also was there a surplus of funds for this calendar year of the same amount?
Yes, and we're taking the surplus from 18, transferring it to capital projects in 18, so that 19, the money for the Cedar Stone Park, the $4.2 million will already be there, so we won't have to fund it in 19.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah, sure.
Other questions? Then do I have a motion to approve the budget on first reading?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Gill, Rex, all the department heads, we really appreciate all the work that you put into this. I know there's lots of hours spent on it. You do a great job of being responsible for our money, because that's what it is. It belongs to everybody here in this community, and I think you do a really good job, and we really appreciate all you do. So, okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget passes on first reading. Next is a consideration of an ordinance adopting the property tax rate for the fiscal year 2018-2019. This also is a first reading. Rex?
The tax rate ordinance establishes the property tax rate for the fiscal year 18 and 19. This is a year of reappraisal. Our recommendation is to adopt the certified tax rate since this is a reappraisal year. This is a revenue neutral concept, which means our tax should be the same as last year, and we have not received the certified tax rate from the assessor's office yet. So today I looked up my tax that I paid last year, $307. So when they do their calculation, my tax this year should be $307.
I know I'd seen a lot of stuff on social media about raising tax rates and that sort of thing, and I think you explaining the revenue neutral and exactly what that means, hopefully that will put some citizens at ease in regards to their town of Smyrna taxes. We can't say what the county will do, but for the town of Smyrna, it should be revenue neutral. So thanks for explaining that. Questions for Rex? I'm assuming we feel like we'll have it by second reading?
Hopefully. 4 years ago, we had it before the first read, so I would feel pretty confident that we should.
Okay,
I'll double back with the assessor's office and follow up.
great. Questions for Rex on this? Then do we have a motion?
I move we approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move on to other. Anything under other, Mr. Gill?
Yes. We had budgeted $14,000 in next year's budget for lighting upgrades at the event center. The light's been in there for over 30 years. They don't function as well as they should. I'm going to ask the council to allow us to amend money this year to do that, up to $14,000 pursuant to what we budgeted next year. So, again, I want to recommend that you amend up to $14,000 for lighting expenditures at the event center.
Okay. I think we would all agree that they're in pretty rough shape, so to get 30 years out of them is
Yep.
pretty long lifespan. So do I have a motion to approve the expenditure for lighting at the event center for up to $14,000?
Motion that we approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything else under other tonight?
No.
Okay. Status reports.
Good.
Nothing? Announcements?
Good.
Good. Jeff, announcements?
Just that festoon's been in the ordinance since 2007. First time we've talked about it.
Okay, so I want you to be able to use that word every meeting at least one time from here on.
I'd like to see an algebraic.
He's just going to, out of nowhere, just say festoon, just to get it in.
So we'll see. The public will be waiting every month. So, Raquel?
I have nothing.
Nothing. HG?
I just hope that everybody on Sunday of this week hangs many festoons in honor of their mothers.
Very
Because I'm
good.
going to.
You're going to. I will say this. When we were in high school, I think we hung quite a few festoons for parties and proms and dances and that sort of thing.
Didn't even
So,
know what you were doing, did you?
Didn't know what I was doing, but learned something new every day.
Happy birthday. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Steve?
Just a couple things to echo HG. I got to spend a week with my mom in Albuquerque, New Mexico last week, and I wasn't sure who would kill each other first on the way out, but we actually got along really well, had a great trip, and I'm really appreciative of the time to get to spend with her. There's a lot of folks that don't get that opportunity. So it was a very nice trip. Got to visit my aunt who turned 90, and very good trip. The weather has finally broken. I've been out at the park, rec park, maybe 3 or 4 nights in the last week and a half or so. It looks like lots of other folks are starting to enjoy the parks as well. So get out and enjoy the work that our Parks Department does, because this is the time of the year we do it. We do it for this time of year. So that's it.
Great. Lori?
So I wanted to thank Commissioner Robert Stevens for asking me to the Homeowners Association this past Saturday, and Tom Rose also for updating me on the road projects to share with them. That was a really good meeting, and Mayor Ernest Burgess was there, and so he was commenting on the tax revenue and not certain at that time what the county would be doing.
What they would do.
No. Also, to congratulate all of the Montlow graduates from this past Saturday. Graduation was in Tullahoma. It was very nice. And all of the upcoming Smyrna High School and Stewart's Creek students that will be graduating very soon. Mentioning Montlow, we're having our second annual Barbecue and Blue Jeans event that will be held at the Event Center on June 16th from 5:30 to 9:30. We're seeking sponsorship, so if anyone is interested in sponsoring personally or their business, we would gladly take your money for that third building.
And it's a wonderful event. It's a lot of
It is
fun. So I would highly recommend anybody that would like to have a nice date night out to attend the event. It's a lot of fun. Mark?
A few things. First of all, yes, Steve, you're right. We don't all have our mothers anymore, and so we don't get to celebrate with them. But my wife is a mother, and so I'll celebrate with them as my daughter and all the grandkids come by. And so happy Mother's Day to everybody. Had the pleasure of attending on your behalf the Business Education Partnership Breakfast Friday morning, and that was neat to see all the grant money that is raised through business, and Nissan being a heavy corporate sponsor there. That goes out into the classroom, goes out into the teachers in the classroom. This was Teacher Appreciation Day, I think, yesterday or this week. So thank you, teachers, for what you do, because my goodness, you have a job. My wife is in the education business, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that's something I'm not made for. But she does a wonderful job, and thank God we have people that are made for that and take care of our kids each day. Speaking of teachers, Shannon Williams, I don't know if all of you know, but the reason my daughter became a drama major at MTSU to go on and teach drama and education was because of Shannon Williams. She was under her in high school. So I want to give a shout out to Shannon Williams and her family with Matt and the kids. And Shannon is fighting a very aggressive brain cancer right now. You'll see these bracelets being worn that say Shannon Strong on them, and that's, Lori's got one too. And so those are available. I know Kim Lee has some, that the high school probably has some. I think they're $5 or anything you want to give to actually help Shannon and her family fight this aggressive cancer. So just wanted to bring that up and make the public aware of it. Last and not least, and Diane, condolences to you. We know that you lost a son this past week or so ago, and just want you to know that we're all praying for you and supportive of you, and God bless you and your family. There's a golf scramble I know you're going to talk about. You guys might as well go ahead and put the trophies away.
That's right.
Just go ahead and put them away, because we have the team. This is one of those deals where not everybody's going to get one because we all participated, right? Right?
That's right.
All right. So Mary Esther's going to be our A-game killer, and we're raising money for United Way for the city. I'll tag you and let you go and pick up on that. So thank you.
So our 6th annual United Way Golf Scramble is going to be this Friday at the 11th from 10:30 to 5:30. And we do have some room for more sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor this event, we would love for you to do that. All you have to do is get in touch with us here at Town Hall. Also, the Simply Smyrna is going to be Saturday, June the 2nd from 5 to 10 on Front Street. There will be fun for the whole family, stages of music, jazz, hip-hop, country, Christian rock and roll, Americana, and R&B. There'll also be a kids zone, vendors, food, crafts, art, local businesses, and more, and a wine tasting. So we invite you out to Simply Smyrna. It will be a great event. Also want you to mark your calendars. The Jeff Coos Memorial Dedication will be Saturday, June the 9th at 10 a.m. at the memorial site at Lee Victory Park. It is open to the public, and we would love to see everyone there. I will tell you that we're getting calls from all over the country from people that are coming in for the event. So we also are recommending that you bring your lawn chair because we won't have seating for everyone, but we want you to come out, and the family will be here, and you'll have an opportunity to get to speak with them and get to see a memorial that is going to be absolutely fantastic. So we
Mayor,
welcome.
when will they place the plane on the pedestal, do you know?
The plane is actually going to be placed on the 30th. We don't have an exact time. We will let people know when that's going to be. I will tell you it will be a sight to behold itself because the crane will sit just off of Sam Ridley on the grass, and the crane will lift the plane from there all the way up onto the pedestal at the memorial. So it's going to be something to see. So that will be on the 30th, and once we get a kind of a time nailed down, we'll put that out on social media to let people know. We are accepting applications for the Linebaugh Library Board of Directors. You must be a resident of the town of Smyrna to apply. The Board of Directors typically meets on the third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. with the exception of January and February when it meets on the third Tuesday due to the holiday schedule. Meetings are generally held at the Linebaugh Public Library in the boardroom on the second floor in Murfreesboro, and applicants can apply directly on the Town of Smyrna website, and you can contact Tiffany Lawson here at the town for more information. I also wanted to thank the Senior Center for having us all. I can't remember what day that was. Week and a half ago, yeah. May 1st. It was a wonderful event. There are so many activities. They had places for you to sign up for all that they do, and Mayor Burgess and his wife are down, and we're amazed at all of the things that are taking place at that center. So huge shout out to Fran Dunn and all that they're doing there. The Mother's Day lunch at the event center is this Sunday. I'm assuming it's sold out. I didn't even ask Chef. So for Easter and Mother's Day, I say you need to get on the schedule early because people are figuring it out. What a great buffet that we have. The last thing that I wanted to do is I did want to read a letter that Miss Diane sent, and it says, "Dear friends and coworkers, thank you for the basket of gift cards and snacks sent to us. It was so thoughtful of you to think of us during this time. You are my family. Love the Waldron family, Tom, Diane, Kim, and Jennifer." And I just want to tell you how much that we appreciate the note, but just wanted you to know how much we've all been thinking about all of you all and praying for you, and we do consider all of y'all our family as well. So, anything else? Also would like to wish everyone happy Mother's Day, and nothing else, then we are adjourned. Thank you.
I think the next time you fry up some chicken on Sunday.